So Tucker and Nick Fuentes get together, and it's always great when a description of the clip. This is why I like using clips from Twitter, because people kind of describe what's in it. Mm-hmm. It's great when a clip starts with Tucker Carlson apologizes for calling Nick Fuentes gay.
I mean, we all did. I still do.
But this is a great way for these two to start this conversation. It would suck if they went through this whole interview and pretend they weren't calling each other feds and homos and shit like that. Like, it would be lame. I think that's what people hate about the mainstream media that they like about shows like Tucker, is that it feels like real people.
Authentic, at least.
Yeah, they're having an authentic conversation. Whereas, these politicians, the reason people feel like it's all pro wrestling is a politician will go on Face the Nation. And that same politician has said horrible things about Face the Nation and ABC or CBS, and they don't talk about it at all.
Strange.
So Tucker starts off his interview of Nick Fuentes apologizing for calling him a homo. Here we are.
So what are the other factors that prevent... I'm sorry I called you gay, by the way.
I love that. I was expecting it to be more straightforward than that. That's nice how kind of off the cuff, like, so what are some of the other factors that, sorry I called you gay, by the way.
But that's such a genuine way to do it. It's not like a show-busy kind of like, I'd like to make a statement to you right now, and I mean it, and I want to look into your soul while I do it. He's just like asking him a question, and then he remembers in the back of his mind, he's like, oh, right, I called this guy a fag. I forgot. Hey, sorry.
Better back that up.
Sorry I called you queer, by the way. Oh, no problem, dude. Okay, anyway, I was going to say, so the Jews. I like that
you totally are, though, right? Like, I mean...
You've never thought about how a cock tastes? Like, never?
So Destiny was in that video?
So what are the other factors that prevent... I'm sorry I called you gay, by the way, but I think I'm just too old or something. I'm like, why is anyone married? You tell me, why aren't people married?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the women. The women are extremely liberal. No one talks about that. Increasingly they do, especially after the last election. There's a 45-point difference between men and women. The men are extremely conservative. Increasingly, the women are extremely liberal.
What are they liberal?
Can I tell you where that comes from?
Where?
And people are going to think I'm nuts, but how many times do I have to be right before, even if you hate my guts, you admit Aaron's kind of got a level head on his shoulders here? TikTok.
That the women are extremely liberal, or that they're becoming increasingly liberal?
TikTok has turned women very, very lefty. I have a friend who was married to a woman, and I knew both of them. And the woman he was married to was a normal person, didn't give a shit about politics, did not care about anything. Got a TikTok account, started watching TikTok. The hair goes blue. Start talking about whether or not the kid is trans. Starts getting into like all this like political shit and all this that they didn't. Again, this isn't someone who was conservative and turned liberal. They didn't give a shit about politics, didn't know anything about politics, and basically let TikTok become their political identity. Now, this is one example, but I know at least 4 or 5 other people who have said the same thing, that they have a woman in their life, whether it's dating, sister, cousin, whatever, that was never political. They started scrolling TikTok all the time, and just they watched them progressively become more lefty. And
I guess, I don't know. I grew up in a family with a lot of sisters, so I just for that I have trouble believing that is like I don't disagree that there's women who've been steered that way, but like I don't know. I feel like haven't there been women who've been steered the other way in terms of pushed more right by
maybe
different things in their life?
Yeah,
it's probably not as much as TikTok, but I feel it's kind of a cop out to be like, well, it's the women. That's why people aren't getting married as much today. It's the women. Like I think it's both.
I think it's both. I think it's also, I think it's economic realities. I think that the more you make people poor, and we are making people poorer, even if they're making the same amount of money or more money, they're poorer because everything costs so much. Like you can't buy a house. You can hardly rent. People are using credit cards to buy their groceries. People can't pay their car notes. It's hard to start a family when you haven't established yourself, and it's taking men and women longer to establish themselves in the kind of economy we have, and I think that's a big reason for why people aren't getting married.
Certainly isn't helping.
And then you do get married and you're not established yet. What's the number one cause of divorce?
I'm going to guess financial issues?
Money issues, yes, financial issues. So if you are established and you get married and that's still the number one cause of divorce, now get married without figuring out and establishing your economic viability, it's going to be a fucking nightmare. You're set up to fail to begin with. So is it the women? I don't think so. I think it's
more the message, like you were saying, with the just general setting of the world, not just financially, but just in general. Everything's coming to an end. The environment's polluted and this, that, the other. Like, how many people are just kind of like, I don't feel like there's much of a point. Why do I want to meet someone and make a family and do a whole thing? Like, I'd just rather keep to my own self and try to be happy in a day.
I think another problem is that men and women have been taught now, because again, I'm not going to put this all on women. I think, like you said, that's a cop-out. Yeah. I think men and women have been taught that power can be shared and that there can be two leaders in the household, and I just don't think that's true. I think there needs to be a division of duty, a division of leadership. I think there needs to be, whether it be in the household in general or on certain issues, there is a leader and there is a person who follows the leader. I don't care if it's the man. I don't care if it's the woman. I think it works better when it is the man, depending on what kind of man you have.
Right. But if you got the wrong kind of man, you're going to need an alpha bitch because you got a beta boy.
Right. And so maybe on money, the man's in charge. Maybe on how the house looks, the woman's in charge, or vice versa, or the plans for... I'll give you a great example. In terms of like making plans and keeping a schedule, do not make me the leader, because I will make the schedule in my own head and I will not tell anyone about it, and I will assume they know.
That is a dick thing to do.
I'm fucking terrible at it. It's not intentional. It's not anything like that. It's just I think something, I put it in my head, and then I lock it away and forget about it until I need it. I am the king of telling my partner a couple days before we're doing a thing that we're doing a thing.
Wow, I'm glad we never date.
I can't help it. I can work on it until the day I die, but there will always...
Just start writing shit down on the fridge calendar, man.
Easy, right?
Right?
Put it in your phone, right?
Well, not your phone, because like you put it in your phone, you'll have it written down. You'll remember it. You'll get your notifications. But is everybody else getting that shit? Now we got a problem.
Plus, I'm rid of the phone now. I'm off the phone, so...
Which honestly, I feel like is a good call for you.
Yeah.
Issues, like, what does that mean, liberal?
Oh, they're very feminist.
Like, actually?
Extremely feminist, yes.
They don't believe that, do they?
I think they do.
Really?
Absolutely,
How
yes.
could you believe that?
Why wouldn't you? Like, think about it. If you're a woman, this is like black people who believe like we was all kings and queens and this and that. Why wouldn't you believe that? If your reality sucks, why wouldn't you believe that you were like this amazing, awesome, incredible thing? Like, why wouldn't you believe? We all like a good story. So, like, women are being used as fleshlights. They're being used for hookups. They're being told it's empowering. They're unhappy. They can't find a partner who will stick with them for a long period of time. So why wouldn't they listen to a feminist who's going to tell them that you're strong, you're independent, you're the best, you're amazing, you're this and that? Why wouldn't you believe that? What do you want? Like, someone's going to come along and being, oh, by the way, you using yourself as a cum dumpster with a fucking IUD in your pussy all the time so you don't get pregnant, and just taking different loads in you whenever you want is fucking depressing. It fucks with your mental health, and it guarantees that you won't find a good long-term partner, and it develops bad coping habits in relationships. Do you want to listen to that shit? No matter how true it might be? If someone else is going, oh, you're a queen, by the way, and you deserve to be treated like a queen, and if he doesn't treat you like a queen, you should bitch and moan and whine about it forever to everyone you know.
Well, I get it, but it's just, at what point do you not realize that, like, it's that first one and all of the policies that they put into practice that got you where you are now? Like, you're not happy now. Why you want to keep going with the team that put you in this shit show? That's all I'm saying.
Because the person who's telling you otherwise is a man, and that person has been telling you forever that men are just trying to keep you down and hold you down. And also we've done this revisionist history where feminists have convinced women that back in the 60s they were all just being punched in the face. Like there's this narrative every woman was just getting beaten by some toxic man back in the golden age of America.
Like when he came home from work, he didn't sit down with his wife and have a nice meal, and they watch TV together, talk about different things, maybe sit in the backyard and enjoy the sunset next to a bonfire or something.
He belted her for there was creases in his pants, and so he would hit her in the face all the time because his clothes weren't ironed properly. No, they've been sold a bill of goods. Like it was better for them back in the day. And now this Ponzi scheme started where they just keep, every time they realize that this is making them unhappy, they just throw more blame on men onto the fire. So I think Nick is half right here, but I think also men are kind of becoming more sensitive bitches too. And it's making them more difficult to be partners with.
I think gender roles are a construct, that none of this is inborn. Like you'd have to be an idiot to think that.
They like the idea of it. They like because of course I think all women naturally want strong men.
Of course, obviously.
They naturally want a Chad. They want like a tall, buff guy. But I think they like the idea of none of them want to work either. None of them actually want to work.
No, that's what I'm saying. Of course, right. It's obviously true. It's always been true. Work outside the home.
Right.
They don't have enough work at home. There's a lot to do. But no, I completely agree. So that's why I question like they're feminists in what sense?
Yes. And they like these vague appeals to equality. We want a chance to work and we want respect. And, ultimately, I think the whole political system is just based around women never being accountable for any of their choices. Ultimately, that seems to be that's what abortion is.
Yeah, of course.
Because 99% of abortions are elective. So they say it's an unplanned pregnancy. You had sex out of wedlock with someone you didn't intend to have kids with. So now we have to kill the kids in the womb. And, these no-fault divorce laws. These women get married to guys maybe they never intend to stay with. And then when they're out, they're done. And they want child support and they want half the stuff.
It is, if you're a guy, it is risky. I mean, you do take on all the risk of getting married and having kids, and it is very easy to just tear up the piece of paper and then have them extract money from you.
Yeah, the divorce system thing doesn't help. I will also say, I think a lot of people really need to. Oh shit! I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I'm having a muscle spasm in my leg.
Well, look. What Nick is saying about women wanting a Chad is absolutely true. I've said this for over a decade now. There was this PR movement that was done by nerdy internet guys to try and frame the jocks as these bad, the rapists and the over aggressive and this and that. We've always been the cool guys. We've always been the ones, the ones who played sports and did all that. We've always been the ones who have treated women better. We've always been the ones that women have liked better. We've always been the ones who have advocated a more traditional role of men in the relationship. And that always pissed off dorks who hang out on the internet too long. And they're mad at them because they don't get women. So we tried to do this social framing of kind of the Chad guy, the guy who played sports, whatever, as this bad guy. But what we learned is the nerds are the ones who, when you're puking in the toilet, they're trying to finger you. And then it's the Chad who has to beat the living shit out of that guy. So I think we're starting to realize that. I think we're starting to turn that way, but we've still got a little bit of a ways to go. We've got to ostracize dorks a little bit more, and I think we'll be there. But I don't know. I think we're losing those people in general. I think it's not an endangered species, but the population is definitely going down.
I think a great first step would be divorcing child support payment. Like, because this is one of those things where like women talk about like, I want equality, I want equity, I want the same representation as the men in the workforce, this, there, whatever. But then when it comes to things like childbirth, like, well, it's my body, it's my right, I get to make the decision. It's like, okay, so you get to make the decision, but I have to pay no matter what. Like, if you don't want to have the kid, I have to pay for that loss. I have to pay for not having that opportunity. I have to regret what may have been. But if you do want to have the kid and I don't, I still have to pay you so you can raise the kid. Like, I'm on the hook no matter what. It just seems weird that, like, oh, well, we want equity. We want this ability to have this choice, but you don't get to have a choice at the same rate. So
I think if women and men have to take the same responsibility. If we're going to be able to tell women, like, oh, you had sex out of wedlock, pregnancy shit happens, blah, blah. You got to say the same thing to a kid or to a guy. You stuck your dick in a woman and made a kid. You know, that
shit happens.
Shit happens. You know, I mean, maybe if we would quit with all the hookup shit, if we would quit just sticking our dick in everything, maybe, you know, I think both men and women have more power socially when they abstain.
Yeah, no, I would agree after recent life experiences. I would agree that your relationship builds better when it doesn't start on a basis of sex.
Well, I will also say this, as someone who's fucked around quite a bit, it doesn't leave you in a more advantageous position.
I wasn't going to say that specific. I was kind of painting.
It doesn't. Being a fucking guy who gets laid doesn't leave you in a more advantageous position. There's a lot of things to consider. There's a reputation that you get. There's the fact that both of you physically are already getting what you wanted, so the effort to put into it is less than. Mm-hmm. And then there's, of course, the risk of a pregnancy with someone you never intended to stick around with. So, you know, it feels good in the moment, but I think the negatives definitely outweigh the positives.
I think a lot of men are looking at women and they're very liberal. They're overweight. They have a very high estimation of themselves. I think that people call it hoflation.
Hoflation?
Yes, their sense of their own looks and sexual value is very inflated. And so a lot of people are looking at these like frumpy, obnoxious, loudmouth, liberal women who are also very promiscuous and saying this is not actually appealing at all. And I don't want to start a family with a person
Sounds
like
awful.
this. Yeah, it is.
Go to church. Meet a woman at church.
Again, I don't agree with his generalization of women on this one.
Well, okay. I wanted to talk about that. Remember that he lives in Chicago.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we live in rural Minnesota, where there are more conservative women.
Right.
So it's a culture, it's a geographical thing. But I think that I think this is something we need to listen to young people on. And Nick's in his 20s. We need to listen to young people, guys and girls, because a lot of them are saying, I don't want to date. It's not worth it. These women or these men are bullshit, and I don't want the aggravation that comes with it. That's a social problem if people start having that feeling en masse. And I think they're starting to feel that way. That's not good, and something needs to change. And the thing that needs to change is not you force these people to go into relationships they don't want to be in. There needs to be a cultural change, and I'm not really sure what that is. It's really worrisome to hear stuff like this out of young people because I don't really know how you fix it. And then listening to Nick talk about hoflation and then listening to Tucker go, that's crazy. I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of hoflation.
It's like we're getting this information second and then third hand because Nick is not the guy to be talking about hoflation. Like, Nick has his things about him that you see right away. He's kind of a nerdy looking guy. He seems kind of gay. There's reasons a woman would go look past him, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's not just hoflation. I think a lot of the guys you'll see blame women for the problems in dating are guys who get passed over for very specific things that they're aware of in themselves that they maybe can't help. It's an expression of frustration. But listening to Nick go hoflation and then Tucker go, I haven't heard of hoflation. It's like watching two 90-pound guys discuss weightlifting. You know, it's not a world they're really familiar with. Tucker, because he's married.
Bench, man. Come on.
Yeah.
But if you believe in the patriarchy, as I fervently do, because it's just reality, you know, we didn't choose the system. We were born into a system that is part of nature. Can't get out of it. So if you believe that that's true, which it is, then you think that men should lead. And if it's going to be better, men should make it better because that's their job.
Right.
So you don't want to give them a pass, do you? It'd be like it's all the girls suck. So
Right.
I don't even.
I agree with that, and
Yes,
I'll
I agree.
pause this real quick. I won't, because I know we're gonna clip this and people are gonna get mad. I agree. That's what I was trying to say a little bit ago. Is like, don't make it all women's fault. Like, the guys have their own problems, and I firmly believe that you got to call out your own bullshit first. I'm not saying you can't criticize other people, but start with where you're lacking and then go to where other people are.
Blame it on the women, because I think that it's the incentive structures. Women are allowed to do this by the legal system, by kind of social norms. Technology is a big part of it. The attention that is available to women. Women go on Instagram and they get attention from thousands of men. So it's the incentives. But I would say that, because I hear this all the time, people say, well, the men need to step up and be better and lead the women. Easier said than done.
I agree with that.
They're at war with the system, and not even just the system, but also society.
Yes and no. Like, yes, Nick has a point, but in order to make that point, Nick is leaving out his part of the equation.
And what's his part of the equation?
Where men come up short, where he might
where
come
men
up short.
fail to show women or convince them that these feminist ideals that have been pushed really have done nothing but a disservice to them.
Well, not only that, but that there are plenty of men who will simp for that. And will play into that and will cater to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the women dyed their hair blue. It's just not it.
It's
and
the
also
men held their hair back while they dyed it.
But it's also watching a guy like Nick, and I try not to do this, but I've had a lot of relationships. And there's something about fucking up that teaches you a lot of lessons. And, there's an old saying, those who can do, those who can't coach. I can coach you guys on what not to do. I can tell you where the pitfalls are. Just because I can't pull the shit off myself doesn't mean I don't have a wealth of knowledge. I just don't know how to put it into practice for myself. The information, the knowledge, and the wisdom that I have is probably better imparted into you than history would show in my hands, right? So having Nick never gone through a divorce or a marriage or really a relationship, I don't know.
It certainly doesn't help those gay rumors, I'll say that.
Coltrane with $1 says, my wife and I are financially stable, but she's become increasingly wanting more shit her friends have. That's a huge issue nowadays, as women want more shit but don't want to help in achieving it. I don't know. I feel like keeping up with the Joneses has been a thing for a long time.
Yeah, dude, that's just human nature. It's competitive need to, your neighbor gets something, you want something. But I don't think that's like the reason why the family unit is breaking down and stuff like that. We just, again, we stopped having reverence and respect for a lady who's like, you know what? While he's at work all day, I got my job here to take care of.
Right.
And we started treating that like someone who gave up, someone who went, oh, I'm less than, so I'll sit here. And we started, again, like you said, painting the narrative that, fucking Burly Dan comes home from work and punches his wife in the face because that's how a good guy gets his job done. And it's just, no, that's not the case. And in the course of that, we got a second income, which brought up money, and now a family can't afford to survive off of someone staying at home.
Can you draw me a picture of Burly Dan?
Nope.
Please. I need to see what you see in your
Burly
head
Dan.
when you say Burly Dan.
It came together. I'll be honest. You know why I said Burly Dan? For whatever reason, while
Surly
I was doing
Joe.
that. Yeah. Squirrely Joe.
Surly Joe.
Surly Joe. Excuse me. I've watched it once.
So Burly Dan is like a cousin to Surly Joe.
A Surly Joe. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Silverwolf with $2 says, don't preach to me with that hairline and gut, Dwight. It does bother some people that I do have a wealth of knowledge, and I'm probably right. That does upset many. But look, I didn't choose it. I didn't choose to be brilliant. It was cultivated in me from a young age.
I'm giving you the playbook I put together off my own beats.
I'm the Joey Knish of this shit, guys. The sooner you understand it, the sooner you'll be better off. Drinking Beers says, don't fuck a bitch if you can't handle the next day. Poetry in motion right there. Poetry in motion. I love this guy. So CG King of Comics, I found out, is a guy who fucking hates Ethan Van Sciver and is like sarcastically shitting on him. CG King of Comics with $2 says, EVS will avenge Nick soon. TikTok on your channel. He wants Ethan Van Sciver to expose me. But then I found out yesterday that he's been playing me, and he's actually a guy who makes jokes about how Ethan sucks cock and can't beat Eric July. I thought it was fun. He got me. Dr. Silverwolf with $5 says, I have audio of Aaron giving advice to others on relationships. Let's check this out. 185 away from tomorrow, by the way. Keep it going. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see me giving advice on relationships.
Guiding others to a treasure I cannot possess.
I'm Red Skull with the Soul Stone.
I was thinking it was either that or it was going to be some beaten up old guy go, learn from me. Like
either
that
way.
kind of deal. But either way is right. It's accurate. Beautiful. Nicely done.
Either way, it works. So we have a little more. So that was Tucker apologizing for calling him gay, and then just two dudes talking
Blaming
about
the women.
talking about the bitches. This is Tucker and Nick Fuentes doing the Spider-Man meme on calling each other a Fed. So, like I said, in this interview, both of these guys did a great job of addressing the elephants in the room while also having a conversation. I thought they did a really good job.
I thought you were a Fed. I
thought you were a Fed.
I was a Fed.
Yeah.
I'm not a Fed. But whatever.
Now, Tucker's dad did work with the CIA.
Yeah.
So I don't think, for the record, I don't think Tucker Carlson is a Fed, but I think Nick Fuentes had more of a reason to believe that Tucker might be a Fed than Tucker had to believe that Nick is one.
I'd say there is just in general more evidence to argue that if anyone's controlled opposition, it's Tucker Carlson. But again, that's if you want to have that argument.
We showed each other a badge as we know we're all.
No, but I thought you were a Fed because I was like, why not? It's not cucking to say you're not talking about all Jews when you oppose a foreign policy position. It's not. There's nothing liberal about that. It's just true. That's the Christian position. Okay.
That is, that's a great point that Tucker makes. And I've been struggling with that too, because I have a lot of audience members and I'm kind of in this weird no man's land where people who really don't like the Jews don't think I go far enough when I criticize Israel or Larry Ellison or, any of these guys. But then on the other hand, if I criticize Israel and Larry Ellison and Netanyahu and all these other people, there's another group of people who go, well, you're just anti-Semitic and you don't like Jews. And you understand that's how the game's set up so that we never progress.
Right.
Like we're never going to solve this problem because there will always be an army of useful idiot flying monkeys who will throw out the names as soon as an Aaron or somebody makes a really good point. If you go, hey, Israel is manipulating the media, Israel is manipulating the United States government so that they can excuse their genocide, kill Arabs, and take their land. Then all of a sudden it's, oh my God, would you just shut up about the Jews? It's like, well, I can't shut up about this particular issue. It would be like saying, stop talking about Hitler acquiring territory in the 30s. All right, because it is happening. It is important. I'm sorry, I'm not making you more comfortable by talking about it differently. This is a you problem, not a me problem. But then on the other hand, when I say to those people, I'm taking care of these crazy people over here, and I'm going, well, I don't hate all Jews. I don't really give a shit about Jews. I wish these particularly Zionist Jewish people would stop fucking around with shit that's important in my life and leave me alone the way I would really like to leave them alone. And then when you do that, you get people on the other side who go, Aaron, so you're cucking because you won't say it's all Jews and you're not being honest. And that's the other thing is if you don't agree with someone 100%, it's not that you're not being, it's not that you have a different position than them. It's you must feel the same way they do. You're just not being honest about it. I really don't have a passionate feeling one way or the other about people being Jewish. I don't care. It's like people having brown hair. It's not something that upsets me. But if a shitload of people with brown hair use their position as brown-haired people to try and create social and cultural change that I found devastating and bad for my people, I'm going to speak out against those people and what they're doing. So it's this weird no man's land you kind of take in. Like, being an anti-Semite, oddly enough, is safer than being someone who just wants to criticize Israel and call out Zionists for what they're doing to our government, our media, and the Middle East. Because
I would have gone with easier. I don't know about safer, but okay.
It is easier and safer. It's like not having a gang in prison. So if you're an anti-Semite, at least you have a gang. At least you have a bunch of people who will repeat after you and get your back. Whereas if you rubber stamp everything Israel does or you don't want to criticize them, you'll have a bunch of people who will get your back. But if you want to try and be very deliberate and intelligent and very precise with your criticism, both of those sides are going to attack you for it. And that's the shitty part.
That's not fair.
So when I feel for Tucker, because I'm more Tucker than I am Nick Fuentes on this kind of stuff, where I can't say the Jews because I don't believe that.
I don't think it's all my, like, I've grown up liking a lot of Jewish entertainers and performers and knowing people who are Jewish. And it's just like, so yeah, I don't like, that's why I'm very careful to say I don't like Israel. And I make that distinction. I realize I have to make that distinction, which is bullshit. But I don't view Israel as Jewish people.
But see, now I think what you
Israelites.
just did there, I think that's where the cucking comes in. You're doing the, but I have black friends thing.
No. I'm saying that's why I don't.
No. The cucking is qualifying. It's qualifying your criticism of Israel by going, I like a few Judd Apatow movies. What I'm saying is, I don't care that my entertainers are Jewish. I don't care that my athletes are black. I don't give a shit about that. It doesn't matter. Them being Jewish, them being black doesn't matter. They entertain me, whatever. My criticism of Israel is my criticism of Israel. My criticism of Larry Ellison is my criticism of Larry Ellison. I'm not going to pretend they're not Jewish because it makes some people feel better. Just like I'm not going to sit there and tell you, oh, but I love this movie and that movie, and look, these guys are Jews. Please don't criticize me for my position on politics.
Yeah, but that wasn't what I was saying.
But that's what I'm hearing. It's kind of like when someone goes, I'm not racist, I have black friends. Don't give them that satisfaction.
That's what you're choosing here. No, what I'm saying is I have a long history of not being anti-Semitic. I disagree with a country that is Jewish. And that's where I get labeled or told that I'm anti-Semitic. And I'm saying, well, that can't be the case because I have nothing against Jewish people. Until we get to Israel and what they're doing, I don't have anything against quote-unquote Jewish people. My problem is I keep making this distinction that Israel isn't Jewish people.
And
Israel's a country of Jewish people, and not the whole body.
What I'm saying to you is you don't need to do that. You don't need to go, hey, they want you to defend yourself from their anti-Semitism claims. And so when you go, well, that's clearly not the case because these movies and blah, blah, now they're already winning because they've got you defending yourself. What you need to do is go, shut the fuck up. I'm clearly talking about Israel and this shit. Let's either debate the issue or fuck off because we're not doing that anymore. It's kind of the same thing with race. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and list to you my black friends like you're owed that fucking information. Suck my dick and either address what I just said or get the fuck out of here. Because you're not going to win playing their game of manipulation. They're going to use that as a cudgel because what do they do every time you say, oh, I like Jewish movies or, oh, I have black friends? They go, oh, so you can use them as a token? Like, you're not going to win.
No, again, that's like it's hand in hand with I don't view them as the same. I guess there's just a miscommunication. I don't know how to accurately point out that and this is the thing like I want to do. I feel like too many people label people hating Israel and what they do as anti-Semitism. And I'm going, no, those aren't the same thing. Israel and Jews aren't the same thing. Jews around the world, that's a group of people. Israel is a country pulling some fucked up shit. So hating one and hating what it's doing doesn't automatically mean you hate the other.
That's fine. What I'm saying is, don't ever give that energy to someone who's being disingenuous. You understand what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. Like, it's fine to make that distinction in general, but don't do it when someone's trying to argue with you and say you hate Jews or you hate this, because they want to make the conversation take place on that field. Mm-hmm. Instead of, because they don't want to debate you on your criticisms, because those criticisms are inescapable. You know, it's good to go, oh yeah, I don't feel that way about Jewish people. My position is this. But if you're doing it, you understand the difference between saying that and then doing it to defend yourself from something?
Yes.
Like, don't do it in a defensive nature. Do it because that's what you'd like to say, if that makes sense.
I guess I would say I wasn't even going on the defensive nature. Like, I see where you're saying the defensive nature. I just literally from the jump of with people like anti-Semitism, I feel like you can't be anti-Semitic if you're okay with all of these parts of culture in the world, and then you just disagree with this one thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's, like I said.
Sergeant Holko with $5 says, welcome back, Aaron. Thank you, buddy. Refused to watch yesterday. You know, I did hear that from some people. There were fans of the show who were like, I love this show because of the normal show you do every day. They even see the jail stuff as drama, and they didn't want to hear about it. And I got to tell you, I'm so glad I have those kind of fans. And I'm so happy to hear that from some people, because this is the kind of show I like doing too. So I'm glad you enjoy this. After working 3 decades in a jail, I didn't need to hear your story. I'm glad you're past that chapter. Thank you. And it is nice to be past that chapter. $5 from Baldonaut says, UC Candace O is copyright striking people if they use her clips. Beware. Also, look great, Aaron. At least you did time over someone else who needs it. Well, a lot of people need it, but what are you going to do? I did my 6.5 days. No, I didn't see. Well, I put up a Candace Owens clip yesterday. I don't think it got copyright struck. Do you have any idea how happy I just got? Because I just looked for my phone on the desk and it's not here.
And what there? Yeah.
I feel so good about that. That is nice. All right. Anyway, back to Tucker and Fuentes, because I'm going to put this up as a clip and the comment section is going to be full of people angry that I'm spending this much time talking.
And 2, why are you attacking the best people and not the worst people?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, he disavowed me for my views on Israel and said I talk too much about white people and Christianity. And to me, that's like a sincere ideological disagreement.
I get it.
And, same thing with Marjorie. Marjorie fired my guy. She disavowed me. And, and you worked with Blumenthal on that article, but you called me on the phone and we talked.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, what? From my perspective, this is all so stupid and inside baseball and whatever, but for the record, I was like, first of all, who is this kid? I'm working at Fox News. I'm aware there's an internet, but I'm more out of it than you may appreciate. And I'm like, out of nowhere, attacking this one. I had Joe Kent here to my house and did this interview with him. And I'm always in search of a sincere politician. Don't have to agree on everything, but I really believe sincerity is the whole game. If someone's heart is pure, he will be brave. I always have thought that, and it's turned out to be true. Marjorie's a perfect example. And that's all that matters. If you're afraid inside, if you're weak inside, you will crumble when it matters. So I really felt like, wow, Joe.
Could we attribute that? Could we say that about Trump and the Epstein list?
Yeah, we totally could.
That Trump was weak. Trump's weak on the. Well, is he weak or is it self-preservation?
I personally, my belief is that he was controlled opposition from the jump, but I feel like the simple way to put it is he has handlers, and while they let him run loose and run roughshod quite a bit, he does not have free reign.
I think controlled opposition is a great way to put him, because he is rebellious, but he's rebellious within the margins.
And a lot of his rebellion is, oh, look, we're going to do this rebellion. We're going to make all these plans. And then it always lands on someone else's doorstep. And when it reaches that threshold, it can't cross. Like, for case in point, Doge. We're gonna solve all the government waste. We're going to get rid of fraudulent government spending and these fraudulent programs. Not a single one of them passed by Congress. Thank God.
Well, because, the media will try to paint Trump as like he's this radical. He talks like a radical.
Really.
He talks like a radical, but it's same old once he gets in there. Like, they don't want, like, watch how they treated Trump versus how they treated Ron Paul back in 2008 and 2012. So Donald Trump, they'll yell and scream, he's this, he's that, he's all these bad things, but they'll let him progress through the system.
Right.
Ron Paul, they tried to massacre in terms of public opinion. They tried to make some newsletter look like he was a KKK guy. They kept saying he's endorsed by David Duke. And this, well, first of all, David Duke can endorse anyone. It doesn't mean Ron Paul accepts it or sought it out.
It doesn't mean he agrees with David Duke's ideology.
Exactly.
Just 'cause someone endorses him.
If someone truly is rebellious, if someone truly is a renegade, they'll strangle them in the crib. But
that's what I think the assassination attempt, though, did, is it sold the narrative to those of us who went, oh, well, if he was really rebellious, like, they wouldn't let him get that far. And then there's the freaking bleeding neck, fist in the air flag moment. We're like, oh my God, they tried to get him. They tried to get him, guys. He's our guy.
I don't agree with him on everything, of course, but I was like, this guy is really sincere. He's like a good person. And then you show up and you're like, he's a CIA officer and he was a CIA contractor, but like really like crushed the guy. And it's like,
okay, I'm sorry. And for those of you who don't usually watch this show and you're watching the clip, I'm sorry, but I have to do a show. I can't just sit here and watch somebody else do a show.
Admitting that he was a CIA contractor.
You might as well go watch. I don't get this. Like, I'll watch Nick Fuentes clips and the guy doing the Nick Fuentes clips will be in the corner like we are and he won't be saying a fucking word. And I'm like, this is retarded. Like,
what are you doing?
I'm tuning in. Take yourself off the screen then and just post the clip of him talking. But if you're going to be on the screen, fucking contribute a verse to the poem. And this, I always love when this happens because people always catch themselves in these moments and they don't like acknowledge it. He's like, why are you calling Joe Kent a CIA agent? I mean, yes, he was a CIA contractor, but I was like, well, you just answered your own question.
That's because why?
Yeah.
Why, of all people, you agree on 90% of stuff? That was my view. And I was like, well, clearly this kid's a Fed.
Right. But you didn't know the whole story.
I didn't. You're absolutely right.
And look, and now that, and I want to be, I'm not trying to be combative. I think that.
Go ahead. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Here's what I'm trying to say is now that Marjorie is pushing in the right direction, I absolutely support everything she's saying. And I've not been critical of her at all this year.
Yeah.
Because I think that what she's doing is extremely courageous. And I think you're right. She is sincere.
So it sounds like you're, not to put words in your mouth, but your life experience has left you so stung by the Republican establishment. You don't trust anybody, it sounds like.
Well, no, I mean, these people attacked me when the rules were different, and now they got better, and now I'm good with them. I mean, I'm willing to be good with them, but I think that I don't know if Marjorie still has a problem with me or not.
This kid, I got to say something about this kid. This kid's starting to figure out how the game is played. Like, he's going to be dangerous in a good way. Because he always had the talent. He always had the gift to be able to do a show, carry a conversation, move it forward, interact with people. Always been good at that. Now he's learning when to turn it on and turn it off. He's learning when to be diplomatic and when to be on a war footing. What limited Nick back in the day was he was always at war with everybody.
He was ready to freaking burn them all down.
But now he's starting to become media savvy where when I go on Tucker, let's take it easy on this shit and we can go a little heavier on this shit. When I'm on, like, when he was on, who's the dumb Iranian guy who's like a retarded Republican bootlicker? PBD, Patrick Bet David.
Patrick Bet David.
When he was on Patrick Bet David, it was interesting to watch the evolution of Nick Fuentes because you could see that he was like, okay, I'm on here with what is basically a retard. I'm going to give him the Cliff Notes. I'm going to give him the skin deep, the baseline shit because this guy ain't going to be able to handle going any deeper than this. And he was right. And when I watched the PBD interview, I was like, wow, this is like for intro to Nick Fuentes people, because it didn't go any further than that, because that's all Patrick Bet David can handle. He's some dipshit. But when he talks with Tucker, watching Nick know when to press and when to hold back, Nick's starting to learn the little idiosyncrasies of the media game, and there's a reason. People are like, why now? Nick's been around for a while. Why now, after he's been canceled and can't use banks and has been kicked off all these streaming platforms? There's an old saying, cometh the hour, cometh the man. And when people in the last year have gotten fed up with Israel, and they've started to see through a lot of Israel's shit, and people have become incredibly critical of Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. So when they started to look for people who were in authority on that, he kept coming up. And then once people have their eyes on you, now it's up to you to capture their attention in that moment. Are you the man for this hour? And Nick needed those years in the wilderness to develop his media savvy, get a little older, become a little more mature. Now he's done that, and he's getting, like, every time I watch him now, I'm like, he's getting scary good.
Okay.
Scary good at being able.
I don't watch him enough to know, but yeah,
every interview isn't, fucking black people do this and fucking Jews do that. And it's not that. It's not the way he used to be. It's, turn up the volume on this for this interview, turn down the volume on this. Like, we need to welcome people in. And then he can do his America First show on Rumble, and he can get a little spicier. But when I'm on Tucker, when I'm on PBD, I got to speak to that audience. So he's doing a pretty good job. I saved my favorite clip for last. This was Tucker and Nick Fuentes talking about Israel, and as I become more religious now in the last year or so, one thing that's always bothered me is the term Judeo-Christian. The only thing Judeo in my Christianity is the people who shove nails through my Savior's hands and feet.
Right. It's a term they made up to kind of branch the two of us together.
It's a bullshit political term. My holy word that I put weight in is the Gospels, the good news. It's what gospel means. The Old Testament, the old Jewish stories, I mean, yes, that's part of the Bible, but the teaching of Jesus Christ and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and all that, those are my books. So this idea of Judeo-Christian is some made-up bullshit, probably around 1948, to try and marry two things that are in many ways at odds. I mean, to the Jews, Jesus is a heretic.
Right.
So there ain't no combining art. To me, he died.
A fair number of Christians, like, supposedly Jesus is supposed to come down and land in Israel and smote those mofos first for everything. Like,
to me, he's the guy who died for my sins and saved my soul. To you, he's a heretic. There is no Judeo-Christian. We can't navigate the gulf between those two positions. So we're not going to be friends on this on a spiritual level. So it's nice to hear people say this. This is Tucker and Nick talking about the phrase Judeo-Christian and how problematic Christian Zionists are.
And I think that neoconservatism, where does it arise from? It arises from Jewish leftists who were mugged by reality when they saw the surprise attack in the Yom Kippur War.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of it for sure. But then, like, how do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton. I mean, I've known them all. George W. Bush, like Karl Rove.
He named a shitload of people who should be in jail. Named a lot of people who should probably be in prison.
I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen like be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right.
And I can just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody. Because like, what? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian.
Yes.
That's why.
Perfect
So,
word
I don't-
for it.
like,
Heresy.
why not? Like, I'm pissed at the neocons. Very pissed. I've said that a million times. I've been mad since December of 2003 when I went to Iraq. And so, like, I went and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz because that seemed like there's a sitting senator who's like serving for Israel by his own description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after MTG, who's like the most sincere. Like, why not go after Ted Cruz? I don't understand.
Well, again, with Marjorie, I was a friend of hers.
I think what they're describing is that Tucker's a more political animal and Nick's more of a...
He's still operating off of his feelings. He's still got the feels in it. He hasn't grown all the way up yet. He's still going.
Tucker has learned the political portion of being a talk show host, whereas Nick is in his Rush Limbaugh era, if you will, where he's or Howard Stern era maybe is more appropriate. Maybe Tucker's
Perhaps.
more in his Limbaugh era and Nick's still in the Howard Stern era. But the kid is learning, and Tucker does raise a good point. I think where Tucker's point goes too far, though, is where, yes, it's good. It's probably a priority to criticize Ted Cruz over Marjorie Taylor Greene, but a lot of people will do that enemy of my enemy is my friend shit, and they'll never criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene if she does something wrong because she agrees on the Ted Cruz stuff. So there is kind of a balance that you have to strike with all that, but just good to see those two talking to each other.
And to finally get that whole, hey, I called you a Fed.
I love that this conversation included, sorry I called you gay,
And yeah, I called you a Fed.
and sorry I called you a
Called
Fed.
you a Fed.
Perfect. So yes, that was Tucker and Nick Fuentes. I still haven't seen the whole thing. I'm going to watch the rest of that today, but we had to talk about it. Crowder Wears Panties says MTG is the most sincere person. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm going to tell you this. I think the crazier the person is, the more sincere they are. Because they can't hold back.
Is it an act?
Yeah, they can't hold back. They're crazy. They just got to tell you what they're thinking. I think there is a sincerity in Marjorie Taylor Greene. You don't have to like someone or agree with everything they say to think that they're being sincere. There are plenty of people I don't like who I think are being sincere. Bernie Sanders, I think, is very sincere in what he believes. I don't think Bernie Sanders is bullshitting me.
I do.
Chevy Fan says this interview was a fed and a fag. Baldonaut says MTG is crazy, but a broken clock is right twice a day.
She ended up being right about the space lasers thing. That was the one that I was like, oh shit. Like,
She was the Jewish space laser lady.
She was the Israel's got space lasers, and everybody was making fun of her. We pulled the whole Alex Jones thing of, oh, look at this stupid lady, Israel's got space lasers, and it turns out, nope, turns right about the space lasers.
Did they come out and say that they were space lasers?
I don't know the full thing of it, but I believe what it is they've argued that they are lasers, they are in space, but they aren't weapons or some shit, or they're not. I don't remember. They pulled some sort of middle of the field where it's not that she's right, it's that she has facts she misrepresented, and I'm like, yeah, all right.
While no evidence,
that's where I'm landing. They're space lasers.
While no evidence exists that space lasers are being used in the conflict, the term has two distinct origins. By the way, this is just the path we take to confirm all this shit over time.
Yeah.
It starts as crazy conspiracy theory, and then they go to, well, we're not using it in the conflict itself, and then
but they do exist.
And then a few years later, it becomes, oh yeah, we were burning people with space lasers. You know, a ground-based laser weapon system called Iron Beam, developed by Israel, has been undergoing testing for defensive purposes. It's always defensive purposes.
It's always defensive.
The phrase Jewish space lasers has been circulated as an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Is it an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, or is it just a crass way of saying what it is? I mean, if the nation of Israel is building a weapon system called the Iron Beam that is a laser-based weapon, it's a Jewish space
fires
laser.
from space or fires from ground into space.